Hey guys, I'm Ian, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 good things and 5 bad things from Avengers Infinity War, which was freaking epic. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Infinity War, come on, what do you think I'm going to talk about here? Let's start with the bad stuff, counting down from number 5 to 1. Number 5, there's too much outside media in order to understand what's going on. I think this kind of started with Civil War, but Marvel started doing all these tie-in comics with their cinematic universe that you had to read in order to understand certain things. That's stupid. I've already watched 20 movies. Shouldn't that be enough background information for this 2.5-hour romp? Did I just say romp? I've been using Netflix too much. They use the word romp in every movie and show description. 4. Who are Thanos' kids again? I mean, aside from Ebony Maw, does anyone really know who anybody is? Not to mention there was that one dude. His CGI was crap. I mean, the CGI in the whole movie was really good, except for with that one dude. That one dude looked like a video game character, just like the Justice League villain, except Justice League is much worse. But really, I don't know who Thanos' kids are, and they really don't matter to the plot. They're just sort of there to serve as distractions, which makes sense because Thanos wants to distract people from keeping the Infinity Stones from him, or gems, or whatever they are. I don't know his kids' names, and usually when I go to a movie and I can't remember anyone's names, like Rogue One, I consider that to be a bad thing. Quill never got home. Infinity War Parts 1 and 2 were announced when I was a sophomore in high school. I just finished my sophomore year in college and saw Infinity War, and man, that was freaking awesome. When I was 15 and I found out that Infinity War was coming out and that the Guardians of the Galaxy would be involved, I'm like, first of all, that's awesome because the Guardians are going to interact with the Avengers. Second of all, Peter is finally going to get home. He's finally going to get back on Earth. That never happens. So I was a bit disappointed there. Hopefully Peter will get back to Earth at some point because I'd love to see his reaction to Earth now. All the sequels get killed off. Marvel has this issue where nobody ever dies. So there's no real weight to people dying. Of course, there was weight to people dying in this movie because a lot of good game players died, like Black Panther and Spider-Man, but Black Panther 2 got greenlit, and so did Spider-Man 2, which is now Far From Home, which I think is a bad title, but whatever. Not to mention Guardians 3 is going to come out, and while the director has confirmed that Guardians 3 will most likely take place in the past, like Guardians 2 did, it doesn't matter, because other sequels got killed off. Not to mention, Robert Downey Jr.'s contract is almost up. Chris Evans has confirmed he's leaving the movie series. I was expecting them to die in Infinity War, but now it's so clearly obvious that all those sequels are going to come back in Part 2, and that the OG Avengers are going to die. Marvel, you probably shouldn't announce all your movies in advance because that way you won't spoil all your movies in advance. Number 1 biggest problem with Infinity War, Thanos' plan is severely flawed. A lot of people say that, Thanos can't just keep restoring resources because then he has to come back and restore them. Well, think this through. If Thanos cuts the population in half, then eventually the population will grow back again, and Thanos will have to return and do this all over again. So the same argument can be made about replenishing resources. While there are theories with supply and demand that there really is no way to permanently cease world hunger, he's got a freaking magic glove. Okay? It can do literally anything. It's made out of the resources of the universe, so why don't you just create resources that change the equation altogether? Resources that ultimately replenish themselves like that. I didn't snap that time because I thought it would be insensitive to the movie. But imagine resources that would instantaneously replenish themselves. The Infinity Gauntlet could create that. Obviously, Thanos doesn't think that through, and it's because he's supposed to be crazy insane, and I don't think they totally drive that point home in the movie. And if they did a little more, then maybe people would be a little more accepting of his very flawed plan. Now for the good stuff. Number 5, Peter Dinklage. That's it. I mean, we have a midget playing a giant. And nobody knew he was casted. That was great. Number 4, Scarlet Witch's accent. A lot of people had a problem with this. Where's Scarlet Witch's accent? This kind of ties into the fact that there's outside media that you have to look into, which again was my con, but this little tidbit of information I thought was pretty cool. Scarlet Witch, Vision, Captain America, Black Widow, they're all on the run from the government after the events of Civil War. So Cap grew out his beard and his hair to be less recognized. Black Widow dyed her hair to be less recognized. Scarlet Witch, she has a very distinct accent, so she dropped her accent. This is something people can do. With enough training, with enough effort, you can change your accent. And that's exactly what Scarlet Witch did, so that way she wouldn't be as easily recognizable to the authorities. Also take note that her hair is a lighter color. There's barely a dull moment in this movie. I remember a couple of dull moments. I mean, it's a 3-hour movie. It's bound to get tiring at some point, but for the most part, it's not. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. Like, you know Thanos has control over reality. The only problem is, of course, nobody ever really dies. When Mantis turned into string cheese and Drax turned into a bunch of blocks, I'm like, that was brutal. But then they just kind of went back to normal after that. And I'm like, not so brutal. Should have stayed the way they were. Aside from like those minor disappointments, there's a lot of character development. There's a lot of crazy things. A lot of the events in this movie are character driven and not driven by circumstance, which is really great for a story. Number 2, Tony finally has the bleeding edge armor. When I was a kid, I learned about the Extremis storyline and the bleeding edge armor, and I'm like, that's pretty freaking awesome. Not to mention, in the cartoon Iron Man Armored Adventures, Tony also gets the Extremis thing happening. Because of that, he's able to summon his suits and control it with his mind. In Iron Man 3, which introduced Extremis, Tony develops a suit that can come to him via his mind. Not to mention he can control all of his suits via his mind, similar to the effects of Extremis in the cartoon. So I thought this was it. They're going this route that imitates the cartoon and not the comics. So the Mark 42, which was freaking awesome, is the closest we're ever going to get to the bleeding edge armor. Boy, was I wrong. And I was just so hyped. I didn't even have to see him suit up. He just said he had nanotechnology and I knew what was going on. Bleeding edge armor was very epic. And a lot of people were saying, oh, well, it's just a deus ex machina. Iron Man himself is a deus ex machina. Just watch Spider-Man Homecoming. Iron Man and Spider-Man are my 2 favorite heroes, and seeing them together on screen is a dream come true. Bleeding Edge armor, another childhood dream come true. Number 1, the bad guy actually won. Everyone was kind of hoping for this. Everyone kind of saw it coming. But at the same time, we were all shocked when Thanos actually got away with his master plan. It was crazy. But it was also kind of satisfying to not see a happy ending for once. Obviously, a lot of people have crazy problems with it, but of course, we will get a happy ending of some sort next summer in which the heroes may have to make a sacrifice, but they will resolve the issue that we saw in Infinity War with Thanos winning. But the fact that Thanos won showed that this is not your typical Disney movie where everything's happy-go-lucky. It had real consequences and real stakes, which, again, might not last, which sucks, but it was something new and something bold that might be wiped out by the fact that, yeah, it was still a very intense, very edge-of-your-seat movie. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to watch it. If you have seen it, I encourage you to watch it. It's the biggest movie the Marvel Universe has had so far. I also encourage you to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, because I thought it was way better than Ant-Man.
What's up? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. What's up? What's up?
Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. I'll probably be talking about The Flash next time I bring this stuff up, and I want to talk more about behind-the-scenes videos from my own channel. Make sure to click subscribe to stay tuned for more stuff, and to check out Bro Time with Mo Time, my podcast that talks about Christian issues in the modern day. See you around next time.